So we were going to talk now, though, about the Cowboys, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff going on here. You know, as usual with the Cowboys, we were just at the combine. John Machota was there, and Jerry was holding court in the bus, in the Magic bus.
Okay, here's a question. You could spend one night on a bus. Would it be Jerry Jones or Willie Nelson?
And, of course, the news is that they have tagged DeMarcus Lawrence again, which all that means it's just a procedural deal that will give them until, I believe, July the 15th. Is that
July
correct?
15th, yeah.
To sign him to a long-term deal. Of course, the complication of that, as you pointed out today, is that he says he's not going to have that shoulder surgery until he's signed. And if he waits until July 15th, if they wait until July 15th to get him signed, and he doesn't get his shoulder taken care of, then he misses all the training camp probably, right?
Well, I think that's problematic, yeah, because it's a torn left labrum. You're looking at a 3 to 4 month recovery. So if you take this to July 15th and don't do it, then you're not going to be ready for the start of the season.
Right.
Now, then that impacts your ability to fulfill your contract to the maximum. And
right.
So that is going to – so, you know, I'm not sure how much I'm going to wait on the shoulder surgery is much of an issue, but at the moment, I do think it becomes an issue when you want to go back, start September 7th, 8th, whenever the regular season is going to start. Go back from 3.5 to 4 months there and go back. If it's not done by that point, then you're saying, well, look, now you're actually inhibiting your ability to contribute once the season starts. Why should I pay you a full contract when you're consciously making a decision to not be ready to play once the regular season begins? So then to me, you get on dangerous ground there. Then you're talking about your own professional credibility, how important it is to you. It goes beyond a negotiating or leverage at that point, and goes and speaks to something else about who you are as a professional. So I don't think it's an issue at the moment not getting the surgery, because my understanding was even if he would have had it as soon as the season was over, they were still not going to have him really take part in much of any of the OTAs or mini camp. And if you've seen what the Cowboys have done, especially with players when they get in their late 20s coming off of all-season surgery, in training camp, they usually only have them go a couple of days and then give them a Veterans Day rest. They don't push them in training camp. So he was going to be under that program anyway. He certainly will be now. But the key here is you want him signed because you want him around the team. You want him rehabilitating with the team. You want him feeling a part of things and having a good attitude. You don't want, like you had unfold with Des Bryant, back in 2014, the last time they did this with a player, and you sign him on the eve of the deadline. Well, actually, just a couple hours before the deadline on that afternoon, and he wasn't around the all-season program whatsoever. And for what the Cowboys say they want this year, for where they feel they are, it makes no sense for this to be protracted and go until July 15th.
Yeah, I don't get that. Because here's the thing, what we know about DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay, they wanted to find out. The early thing was, okay, he had a suspension, A, and then he had a bad back, B.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that, and then C, we want to make sure that he's not a flash in the pan.
And he never had back-to-back seasons.
Right.
Of double-digit sacks, or really significant. Now, he had good seasons, but not close to double-digit sacks in back-to-back seasons until these last two.
Right. So they wanted to find those things out. And so to me, they found that out. Mm-hmm. As we've talked about before, DeMarcus isn't just a pass rusher. He's a guy who's a good run stopper, plays hard all the time, high motor, a leader in the locker room. Yeah. Players like him, look up to him. He's a hard worker. He gives you, that's the issue. You always want to, if I'm going to go outside here for a baseball analogy, the difference between Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. If I'm going to give one of those guys $300 million, I'd rather give it to Bryce Harper, even though he's coming off a kind of certainly a poor season for him, because Manny Machado's been quoted as saying, I don't really go for that Charlie Hustle thing. You don't want to be giving $300 million to a guy that says, I don't really need that hustle thing.
Temperamentally, you don't want your best player in that position.
No.
You want your best player to lead by example is really more important than vocally, I think, a lot of times, and just how he approaches his job.
Absolutely.
And temperamentally, if you have a player at the top of the food chain who basically is dismissive of hustle and all of the little things that go into doing your job, that's not a culture you want in the locker room.